Hello and welcome. Today I'm starting what will hopefully be a new series on this channel where I break down my heroic victories in Avatar Conquest and highlight key tactics I've used to achieve them. All commentary will be post-battle commentary, so I can provide the best tactical gameplay and the most insight after the fact. To start here, we'll go through my army composition. So I've brought 3 vanilla Nodachis, 2 Matchlock Ashigaru, 1 Naginata Warrior Monk Cav, 3 Yari Ashigaru, 1 Fire Cav, and 1 Yari Cav. A lot of these units are veterans, but they only have very slight upgrades on them because I don't want to have these overpowered super costly units. I'd rather have units that are just sharpen their effectiveness a little bit. So for example, on the Yari Ash, they all have plus attack, and the Cav have a little bit extra attack and a little bit extra charge. And so what I do here is I deploy to take the advantage of the best dojo I can think of in my use case scenario, which would be the Morale Dojo, because what I have is an army that would benefit from that. It would benefit more from the Sword Dojo, but since it's not on the map, I go for the next best thing. So right here, I'm deploying to take the dojo and make sure that I can get it before he does and head him off. And I can use the guns to control that space. That's why I deploy them ahead of the force there. And so I see he's moving left, which is going to give me plenty of time. And he weirdly deploys over on this ridge of the, this edge of the river. I don't know what he was doing here, but it gave me plenty of time to position my forces and come up with a plan. So there's many ways to attack his army that he's positioned here. One, I could go through the river on the left, or I could go straight up the pathway on the right there, and then head off his forces there, and force him into a choke point battle, and then maybe head him off with Cav on the left. But I decided to just wait it out and take the dojos first, because I want to have maximum advantages, and I don't want him to get any of the things that I would need. So right here, I'm just checking out his army composition. I've noticed he's being one of those BM guys who give themselves an all-black banner, so I'm really determined to crush him. He thinks that I won't know what he has or his experienced units, but if you just mouse over them and you have the unit cards always on thing, then you can see exactly what they are and what experience they have. But this way, what he's doing is making it harder for a player to tell at a glance what kind of experience a unit has. Which, in Avatar Conquest, it doesn't really matter anyway if you see how much experience they have, because you never know what somebody has put their bonuses into, unless you have the unit cards always on. So here I'm pushing up with the guns. I'm trying to control as much space as possible with them. I'm positioning some in the trees because online players tend to have no object permanence, which is great for me because at least I have that. It's another tool for me to use. And I notice he's starting to get scouty with his Cav, so he's pushing his Cav in a couple different directions, so I start positioning mine in response. I know that the way my Cav are right now and the way I've buffed them, they should be able to withstand multiple rounds of the light Cav that my enemy has presented me with. So they should be able to just tear through all of that, no problem. And that's exactly what I'm hoping I'll get to do. So yeah, he's starting to push his light Cav forward in response to my guns being up there and my cavalry, which is good for me because the guns are acting as a sort of bait as well. Most players, when they see things like that, they'll go all monkey-brained on it and they'll go straight for it, thinking that I won't be able to respond in time. He makes a good move here by drawing back his cavalry, but it's too late. He's already messed up his entire position, and then he's also put this light cavalry forward, and I've seen the opportunity to trap it. So it looks like he's going to flank my Matchlock there, but since I have all that Cav, I can just trap him. And I believe he starts to notice this in just a few seconds here. Yeah, he notices here and he tries to pull them out, but it's too late. I have them completely surrounded, and even if the Cav didn't catch him, I could head him off with my Yari Ashigaru. So now he starts going all in, balls out, and starts trying to get to my side as quickly as possible. So I'm going to reposition my guns here, and then have my front line move towards the choke point to head him off, because I don't want him to decap these dojos that I've been so graciously given. And now moving on my Nodachis. The reason I always bring vanilla Nodachis, and I hardly ever use veteran Nodachis, is because even with the attack upgrades, they're good enough as is that they don't really need to be any more expensive than they are. So I like keeping them at vanilla. That way they're a massively cost-effective unit that I can use at any time, and I don't need to upgrade them so they don't cost any more money. So here he sends his Cav forward, and then I immediately intercept with my Cav and the Yari Ashigaru. He's doing this in an attempt to let his bows fire at me for as long as possible, but I don't need to let him do that. All I need to do is quickly take care of the units that are approaching me and then retreat again, which is what you see me do behind the safety of that small hill there, forcing him to come even farther forward and then further into the zone of control I have with my guns here. So he can't really position on that side of the of that choke point because my guns. He'll lose too much. Guns are way too effective on this unit size. So now that I know he's cornered, I'm gonna push up a little bit, and I'm going to be sending a cav around. Sorry, my fire cav around the left side, just so I can have an even better flank. Because I notice here he starts to pull back again, and I'm thinking to myself, how can I manipulate his actions? And here I go. I send my cav over there, and I'm thinking that I can use that to distract him while I push up other things. So right now I'm organizing my Nodachis. He's left a small contingent there to stop me from moving far forward, and it looks like he's trying to position his guns in order to shoot at me after I break through there. I don't know why he has his general so close to that fight. That's a bad move. He does retreat him though. I believe just as my Yari Ashigaru would get into range, yeah, there, he starts to move. And then I decide maybe cutting him off will be a bad idea. I don't want to lose my cav needlessly to those guns that are positioned in the trees. Though I don't think it would have mattered now because they're running away. And so my fire cav has reached the other side of the river, and I'm going to pull back again. I need to bait him into getting into this choke point. I don't want to fight him where he has more space to maneuver. I want to trap him where I have more space to maneuver and more control, where I can beat him down with my superior units. And so I'm moving my fire cav over here, and all the time I'm doing this, I'm thinking, like, how can I force him to look at me over here instead of looking at my main force? How could I make that really annoying for him? So right now he's just sort of harassing me with bows, and I believe his general is a bow general. But that's fine. Light losses here doesn't matter at all. And it looks like he did hit me with that negative morale malice from his rally, but it didn't mean anything because all my men are nearly at full strength. And my general is a leadership general as well, so they've got buffs to their morale. I always prefer the leadership general over the melee or bow general because in the grand scheme of things, you're looking to, you know, win the fight with like a multitude of units and then have them all buffed. And buffing more than all your units at once is far more beneficial than only buffing one. And the general is there for leadership purposes. He's not there to fight. So I just think it's better to do it like this, but to each their own. So now I'm positioning that cav on the hill, and I'm using him to divert the entire enemy army's attention. You can see he starts to throw his cav at me that way, and I'm using this opportunity to move up. And then he'll start to see me doing other things, and I'll move to intercept. So right now, I'm just completing this round I've got on him. But he's so hellbent on taking that hill that he's distracted from all the other tasks he's neglecting. And so I'm moving up with my cavalry here. I'm seeing open units that are prone to getting charged, so I take one of the bows out of the fight right away. And since I believe they're vanilla, they start wavering really quickly, which is fine. They should break right away. And this light cav gets exposed too, trying to intercept me. All I have to do now is just side charge that and then ping pong around. So that bow did end up stabilizing. But now my guns have reached the fight. I've baited him into my zone of control with those cav. And I'm moving up with my infantry to lock him in place. So the cav are basically just doing a harassment run right now. And my fire cav is just sitting out the fight on top of that hill because it just being a looming threat so he can't take the hill. And he starts to leave more and more troops open to his back line as right here. As I notice, he's got all his guns exposed. So I start to move in my fire cav in the hopes that I can stop him there. And I'm moving on my guns, getting them shots into, I believe it's katanas running at me. I don't know if it's katanas or nodachis, but a sword unit is approaching me, and they start wavering. Right here, I've killed the general, and now everything's going to start wavering one after the other and routing. Really easy, because he's got low morale army. And there we go.
My lord, a glorious victory will soon be yours.
Simple victory there. And heroic. So some of the things he did wrong there was he allowed me to just encircle him. He piecemealed his army out into different waves and segments in order to try and stop me. And what that did was just allow me to remove Koku from his army and make it weaker and weaker and weaker as time went on. And then him forgetting that I had units stationed around him in preparation for anything he did was leading to him leaving key units that can be taken out by cavalry very quickly on this unit size exposed. So take a look at the losses here. So I lost about 100 and I killed 517. So it's a KD of about, literally 5.17. So I got some influence, some clan tokens as usual. So you always what you get. So my most effective unit was my Yari Cav unit because they were taking the best fights, the best opportunities, and next to it was the rest of the Cav. Matchlocks did okay, but all his men did terrible because he neglected to use them properly and fed them to my army piecemeal. Thank you for watching, and I'll either see you in the next part of this series or another part in my Takeda campaign or my Hattori campaign. Take her easy.